Okay, are we live yet? Are we live yet? And 3, 2, 1, and we are live. Right. So what we did in the afternoon is basically do what is it called? String. I don't remember what do they call this. Let's try this. Yes, template string. So I was a little bit struggle with this. Just need to find this button right here. Yeah, it's quite a hassle.
Now let's take a little break from JavaScript and head over to our index.css file, because I want you to style our list according to the provided design.
Right. My bad, guys. My bad. Alright, so we keep it here. And then let's style the list according to the design. Where's the design? Okay. UL. So there's no list style. List style equal none, and then we do this padding, margin left. I'm assuming it's margin left, and they call this 50 pixel. Nope, margin right, 200 pixel. Margin left, 20 pixel. Now is padding background colors colors is black. Right, so that, and then we will shift it to the left. So we do margin right. How big is this? It's probably 500 pixel. Nope, not pp pixel. Oh, no, the UL. Okay, so this is good. There's still a dash down below. It's supposed to be colors. Colors. It's going to be this colors. Copy paste. Doesn't work. www.google.com. Doesn't work. So we do yes, a right here is the anchor text, right? HTML A, which is this part right here, right? The list is going to have a margin of 20 pixel, not 20 pixel, not padding, right, left, 20 pixel, padding right, 200 pixel. Doesn't work. Breaking how? Background, colors, black. Yes. And then background, ground, colors, background colors right here is going to be colors, going to be, let's do aqua. So right there, right there, and then this background colors going to be red, right? So what we do is, what do we do here? We do a padding left, padding left of this is going to be 20 pixel. Margin left 20 pixel. It's the space, or padding is move is at how do I remove that and plug this into this? Do I do How to remove white space in CSS. Margin left 0. Wow. The way you move, the way you feel. Da, 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 da. Nope. The way you move, the way you feel. Can't da 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 da. Padding. Padding left. It's going to be 400 pixel. Nope. Padding right. 400 pixel. Nope. Actually, we're going to watch this.
And here is the provided design. You can see the link is the same color as the rest of our app. We don't have the bullet points. You can see are here in the li. Okay, let's do this. The first obvious thing is that our list in the design doesn't have these bullets. The way to remove those are to do they are gone. Set that to 0. Adding which we have here, which you
because it's supposed to be UL. Right. There's always a padding with UL. Is the UL padding CSS? Yeah, it has a default padding. So yeah. Okay. Now we delete all of this colors. Boop. Right, and then we run. We do www.chrome.com. And then we do www.google.com. Okay. This fonts look a little bit thicker. So font style. Large. Bold. Font size. Large. Medium. This is the way you move, the way you feel. And yeah, let's just look at what his style is going to be.
also want to eradicate the green one. The list items slightly down. I think this looks pretty good. So this challenge is done. But before we move 5 pixels.
Margin 5 pixel as well. Margin 5 pixel. margin 5 pixel, margin bottom. Yeah, this is good enough. We go.
Yeah, anchor will look slightly different depending on the context they're shown in. What we could do to solve this problem would be to what we see. It says home and add awesome lead. It's in the same styling as awesome lead. This might not be what we want. Oftentimes, anchor tags and links will look slightly different depending on the context they're shown in. What we could do to solve this problem would be to, down here, when we are flipping the color, specify that we only want to do that if the anchor tag lives inside of a list item. And we'd solve that by doing li and then a space and then the a. Now you can see the home link has the standard styling, whereas the anchor tag in our list has our green styling. So this is a way of saying only target anchor tags that lives inside of list items. However, in this case, we can get away by just understanding future possible consequences of doing that. And now I think we do that. So let's just move on.
All right, preparing for the deployment. I'm going to Afghanistan, going to Iraq.
So even though we haven't completed our app yet, there's still many features left to build. I want to.
But props to all of the soldiers who fight for the country. It's actually it's unbelievable that someone actually sacrifice their time, their strength, everything that they have in order to protect other people, in order to serve other people, and to actually do the higher good, to serve a higher purpose. Yeah. But let's get back to this. It was just a moment of me.
Go ahead and deploy it right away.
All right.
Because I just think it's so much fun to actually see your app out in the wild, and that gives me a ton of motivation to continue on, which is why I often like to deploy my projects as early as possible. So in this cast, we're going to prepare our first deployment so that we in the next cast actually can do the deployment and try our app out in the Chrome browser. As you can see on the left-hand side here, I've added a couple of new files, namely the icon.png. That's just a PNG image, which looks like this little icon right here. Really suitable for our app with this $sign as our sales representatives, or to be reminded that this app will bring in more dollars for their commissions. So you'll see a manifest.json file at the bottom here. And you might wonder, well, what is JSON? I've never seen that before. And you're right, we haven't talked about that earlier, but don't worry, it's nothing dangerous. JSON is short for JavaScript Object Notation, and it's a way for us developers to store and send data. And it's often used when you, for example, want to send a piece of data from a server to a client, that is, to a browser. And in our case, we're a developer, and you're right, we haven't talked about that earlier, but don't worry, it's nothing dangerous. JSON is short for JavaScript Object Notation, and it's a way for us developers to store and send data. And it's often used when you, for example, want to send a piece of data from a server to a client, that is, to a browser. And in our case, we are using this manifest.json file to configure our app and to send it. JSON is short for JavaScript Object Notation, and it's a way for us developers to store and send data. And it's often used when you, for example, want to send a piece of data from a server to a client, that is, to a browser. And in our case, we are using this manifest.json file to configure our app and to provide metadata about it. So Google Chrome will read through this and look at the name. Oh, it's called Leads Tracker. Well then, Google Chrome will give our app the name Leads Tracker. You'll also see that the version is 1.0, so that the next time we deploy and we change this to, for example, 1.1, it'll know that, oh, we have updated our version. And that's information that's definitely useful to know for Google Chrome. One thing you might wonder here is why these key value pairs, as you can see, which you hopefully recognize from JavaScript objects, have keys that are wrapped in quotes. Because if you remember from when we worked with JavaScript objects previously, we didn't use quotes around our keys. But that's something you have to do when writing JSON. So don't be tempted to think that this actually is a JavaScript object right now. It's not, it's just plain text, but it's using the JavaScript object notation. So it's mimicking JavaScript object, and you later learn how to turn a JSON object into a JavaScript object. If this is a little bit confusing, don't worry about it. It'll sort itself out as we look more.
Well, this is more confusing than object to me because I haven't touched it yet. I've touched object because Python actually teach me about dictionary, and it's basically kind of the same to object. That's why I know a little bit about. I know some about object, but this nothing.
Into this. Let's just move on and look at the two final key value pairs here. We have manifest version. That's just telling Chrome which version of this JSON file we are using. There used to be a version number 1 that people used, and then there was a version number 2, but now we have a version number 3. So that's version number 3. And finally,
so basically now we are learning like a brainwashed person. Don't know anything. Just trying to piece all of it together. But deep inside, nothing. Nada, nothing.
There's the action. That's kind of the meat of our application. It configures what happens when the user clicks on our application from the Google Chrome extensions toolbar. Let me show you that. Here we have Twitter, and if I click on the extensions button up here in the top right corner, this little puzzle piece, you can see it opens up all of my extensions. And when I click at, for example, Grammarly for Chrome, it opens up the Grammarly extension. And as you can see, it uses a little icon here as well. So in the action, the default icon that you provide, icon PNG here, which points to this image file we've provided, will pop up there besides this puzzle piece button. And also the default pop-up, the index.html that we provide inside of our action, well, it's our pop-up. And in our case, it'll simply be the HTML we have been building all along. Now, there's one thing we need to fix, which is that a Chrome extension will only be as wide as it needs to be. And strictly speaking, our app doesn't need to be any wider than this, because that's the width our button needs. So we need to set a min width on the index.css. I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Min width of 400 pixels, for example. Now you can see we go below 400 pixels. Our input field is now outside of the app. So Google Chrome will understand that we don't want that. We want our app to be like this. This is the minimum size. So now we finally have everything in place. Your next step is to download this code. Do that by clicking on the settings icon in the bottom right corner and download as zip. That'll download a zipped folder. You can then open that zipped folder, for example, in your dev directory. Call it whatever you want. Here you can see all of the files that you recognize, along with a README file, which you can safely ignore or delete. That's up to you. And when you have that, we are ready to deploy our Chrome extension.
All right, we go here. We do extract all and call this Google. What is lead trackers? Extract, and then here we have the lead trackers. Yes.
So let's just move on to the next cast to do exactly that.
One time is all it takes.
Okay, it is time to deploy our application, and I'm so excited about this because I just love seeing products move out into the world and start solving problems for people. So let's just jump into this. The first thing you need to do is to head over to Chrome-//extensions. That'll bring up this UI you can see right here, which lists out all of your extensions. Now, this address here is a little bit funky, so you can just copy it from the file right here and paste it into your address bar if you want to do that. And once you're there, I want you to trigger the developer mode on. So just click up here in the top right corner, and then you'll see these three buttons appear: load unpacked, pack extension, and update. And you are going to load an unpacked extension. So click that button. That'll bring up the file chooser menu. There you are to navigate to the leads tracker folder that we downloaded from Scrimba in the previous cast. Choose that folder and hit select. And once you've done that, boom, your lead tracker is now in the extensions interface. You to tricks. We're so excited about this. I just love seeing products move out into the world and start solving problems for people. So let's just jump into this. The first thing you need to do is to head over to Chrome-//extensions. That'll bring up this UI you can see right here, which lists out all of your extensions. Now, this address here is a little bit funky, so you can just copy it from the file right here and paste it into your address bar if you want to do that. And once you're there, I want you to trigger the developer mode on. So just click
Developer mode on is already on.
up here in the top right corner. Then you'll see these three buttons appear: load unpacked, pack extension, and update. And you are going to load an unpacked extension. So click that button. That'll bring up the file chooser menu. There you are to navigate to the leads tracker folder that we downloaded from Scrimba in the previous cast. Choose that folder and hit select. And once you've done that, boom, your lead tracker is now in the extensions interface. And actually, that's it. Now, if we open up another tab, for example, I'll open up the LinkedIn profile of Froda, one of the co-founders of Scrimba, and then I can click on the puzzle icon here in the top right corner. That'll bring up all my extensions, and there we can see our lead tracker. That is just so cool. You can see the little icon here. If we click it, it brings up the user interface for our app.
Wow.
So that is amazing. Now I can, for example, write in the URL we're at the moment and hit save input, and there it is saved. So actually, now we have something that you can take with you on every website you visit and save information. But our app has a critical flaw. Because if I now close this app, if I click outside of our app.
Wow, this is amazing. Amazing, guys. So cool. This is so cool. We just create our first Chrome extension. Like, it is not perfectly functional, but it's still going to be an amazing application. This is amazing. This is amazing.
HTML file, and it closes automatically. And then we want to open it up again. Actually, our leads have been deleted, because that's just as if we were saving something to the input here, then seeing it in the list, and then refreshing the page, and boom, it's gone again. So every time we open up our Chrome extension, it's a full refresh. So we need to learn how we can store data across page refreshes. How do we do that? That's not something you've learned yet, but it's not that hard. So over the next few casts, I'm going to teach you exactly that, so that our app becomes truly useful for salespeople who need to traverse the web and gather leads. So let's just move on and get that sorted out. So in order to fix our problem of storing leads across page refresh, let's actually open up a browser window and see if we can find a way to do this by playing around with the developer tools. So here I have wikipedia.org. I'm going to right click and then hit the inspect so that we open the developer tools. Here we're starting out at the elements, so we see the HTML elements of the page. But where our action happens is over in the application tab. So I'm going to click that, and there you can see we get a new list of fancy words here on the left-hand side. Service workers, storage, local storage, cookies. Some of these names you might have already heard before, and they're probably a bit scary. And to be honest, you don't need to know about any of them at this point. What we want to look at is this one right here called local storage. Because when we click that, you can see it says wikipedia.org here, and if we click into that item as well, it opens up this table here on the right hand side where we have keys and values. And That's something you probably recognize from JavaScript objects, for example, or even the Json notation. Here you can see that Wikipedia has created 3 weird-looking keys and given them some values. So it seems as if Wikipedia is trying to store some value about me, because these values here in local storage will only be available for me. They are local to me. When I visit this domain, this data isn't shared by default with all other users who visit Wikipedia at this point. For example, you can see portal session ID, some weird long string. That's probably totally unique to me. But without getting into too many details here, what's important is that this is kind of like a local database that we can use. So let's try to do that. If we hit on the console tab, open up the console, which you've previously seen, and then type in, for example, local storage.clear, and open and close parentheses to call that function, and then navigate back to the application tab, you can see that we have cleared out all of the key value pairs in our local storage. So we were able to interact with these values using JavaScript. Going back to the console, we can yet again, for example, do local storage.set item, and then...
Is he talking alien language? Because I will have to watch it again. Like...
pass in first my leads as a string.
It is a little bit fast.
And then I'm going to pass in the string of the URL that we visited previously, that is Froda's LinkedIn profile. And then hit enter. If we now go back to application again, you can see that we have a value pair in our local storage. Key is my leads, and the value is the URL to Froda's LinkedIn profile. And what's so cool about this, if I now try to hit the refresh button, what you'll see is that yet again, Wikipedia adds back these 3 key value pairs, but the myLeads key and its value persists. And that is exactly the feature we're looking for. Persisting data cross page refresh. So with this in mind, let's move on and try to interact with the local storage from our index.js
I have
file.
to rewatch this video.
So in order to fix our problem of storing leads across page refresh, let's actually open up a browser window and see if we can find a way to do this by playing around with the developer tools. So here I have wikipedia.org. I'm going to right click and then hit the inspect so that we open the developer tools. Here we're starting out at the elements, so we see the HTML elements of the page. But where our action happens is over in the application tab. So I'm going to click that, and there you can see we get a new list of fancy words here on the left-hand side. Service workers, storage, local storage, cookies. Some of these names you might have already heard before, and they're probably a bit scary. And to be honest, you don't need to know about any of them at this point. What we want to look at is this one right here called local storage. Because when we click that, we can see it says wikipedia.org here, and if we click into that item as well, it opens up this table here on the right hand side where we have keys and values. And that's something you probably recognize from JavaScript objects, for example, or even the Json notation. Here you can see that Wikipedia has created 3 weird-looking keys and given them some values. So it seems as if Wikipedia is trying to store some value about me, because these values here in local storage will only be available for me. They are local to me. When I visit this domain, this data isn't shared by default with all other users who visit Wikipedia at this point. For example, you can see portal session ID, some weird long string. That's probably totally unique to me. But without getting into too many details here, what's important is that this is kind of like a local database that we can use. So let's try to do that. If we hit on the console tab, open up the console, which you've previously seen, and then type in, for example, local storage.clear, and open and close parentheses to call that function, and then navigate back to the application tab, you can see that we have cleared out all of the key value pairs in our local storage. So we were able to interact with these values using JavaScript. Going back to the console, we can yet again, for example, do local storage.set item, and then pass in first my leads as a string, and then comma, and then I'm going to pass in the string of the URL that we visited previously, that is Froda's LinkedIn profile, and then hit enter. If we now go back to application again, you can see that we have a key value pair in our local storage. Key is my leads, and the value is the URL to Froda's LinkedIn profile. And what's so cool about this, if I now try to hit the refresh button, what you'll see is that Yet again, Wikipedia adds back these 3 key value pairs, but the my leads
it's also
key and
added.
its value persists, and that is exactly the feature we're looking for. Persisting data cross page refresh. So with
Actually,
this in mind,
brilliant.
let's move on and try to interact with the local storage from our index.js file in the next cast. So I'll see you there.
This is some complex new shit. New stuff, guys. New stuff that I haven't learned. I haven't touched any of this. So, yeah. Let's just continue where we... Hey, bro, what you make? Oh, I'm making a Chrome extension that save people LinkedIn URL or like anything. You can pass it in. You can pass any like links into here, and then it's just save the link here so that when I need to use it, I just can click. Let's just say it's hard to explain. Right? It just basically saves the link of a website that I want to save, and then later on when I want to reuse it, I can open it up back again. Yeah, pretty cool. And I'm so at this part of the project, I'm learning how to deploy this application, this Chrome extension onto the web, and then try to manipulate the local storage, which I don't know how to do. I'm just watching a video, as you can see. So yeah, let's just move on. And your first local storage.
So now we are going to use local storage in our app. And we do that in the exact same way as we did it using the console on wikipedia.org. However, we're writing it in our JavaScript file. That means that we can simply use the local storage variable. That is accessible in the so-called global scope. So when you're running JavaScript in a browser, you have access to this variable wherever you are. We'll then do set item.
So you can access this whenever you want. Alright, I see.
Parentheses, and then we'll first write the name of our item. We'll call it my leads. Then we'll specify the value. Here I'll just do sample lead.com. So this is the key, and this is the value. If I now run this code, nothing seems to have happened, but if we actually delete this entire line and even rerun the browser again so that we know that the only way to get a hold of that data would be if it is persisted in local storage, and then try to do exactly that by doing local storage.get item, passing in the name of our item, the key that was my leads, and then we console log that out, running the code. There we go. Examplelead.com is logged to the console because our browser remembers that we previously saved a lead under this name, and now we can get it. That is pretty cool. It opens up so many possibilities. Now I want you to try this.
Wait. I have to rewatch this. Rewatch.
In our JavaScript file.
YouTube rewind this.
That means that we can simply use the local storage variable. That is accessible in the so-called global scope. So when you're running JavaScript in a browser, you have access to this variable wherever you are. We'll then do set item, open and close parentheses, and then we'll first write the name of our item. We'll call it my leads. Then we'll specify the value. Here I'll just do sample lead.com. So this is the key, and this is the value. If I now run this code, nothing seems to have happened, but we actually...
So you set item. So you basically set this, my leads is equal to, is commas. Wait, what do we call it? Two dot colons, right? In English is colons. Hello. Hello. That's the lash. My apology if I say your name wrong. I suck with name. I don't remember any name. So hey, what's up? What's up? What is it called? Set item.
Delete this entire line and even rerun the browser again so that we know that the only way to get a hold of that data would be if it is persisted in local storage. And then try to do exactly that by doing local storage dot get item, passing in the name of our item, the key that was my leads, and then we console log that out, running the code. There we go. Examplelead.com is logged to the console because our browser remembers previously saved a lead under this name, and now we can get it.
This is going to be...
It opens up so many possibilities.
Big exercise.
Now I want you to try this. You're going to solve a 3-part challenge. First, you are to save a key value pair in local storage in the exact same way as I did, and then you are to refresh the page, and then get the value and log it out to the console. Finally, I want you to clear out the local storage as well. And as a little hint, I have added the 3 methods you are to use down here. Local storage.setItem, passing in key and value, get item, passing in key, and clear, which clears out the entire local storage. So you need to use all of these 3, and one little gotcha before you take a stab at this. Both the key and the value that you pass in here and here need to be strings. That's a limitation with local storage, meaning you can only store strings. So it is a very primitive database, but it's what we got. So give this your best shot, and then...
All of them is going to have my leads, but different values. This is how I look at this. Save a key value pair in local storage. Only A, so key value. Alright, refresh the page, get the value, and log it onto the console. Clear storage, local storage. Alright, I see. So let's do local storage dot set item. Set item. This is going to open. Hey. All right. Set item key is going to be. It cannot be input L dot value. No. What can I do? What can I do? Input L, and then we pass in call something link. String is going to be a string only. Local storage dot get item. Get item only got 1. You only need to get the key input L. Hey. Input L, and then we console logged it. I need to turn off console.log. I call a key, right? Input L. Let's call this website, so it's going to be less. I'll call it link, not lick. Link, and then link, and then we run this. What? Huh? Console log, local storage. Storage link. Let's do input L. Link. And then we clear storage. Local storage dot clear. Right.
Return back to the screencast if you want to see me do it yet again.
Alright.
Here, Harold, Oregon, like that.
Yeah. Basically what I
so
did.
Now,
Basically what I did.
This has been saved, meaning I can actually comment it out because we don't need it anymore. Now I can do local storage get item and then pass in my name like that. Actually, I'm going to store this in a variable called name, just as a little.
So you basically assign whatever my name is into name. So name is equal to pair Harold Borgen, and then okay, not too bad. Not too bad.
Here. And console log out the name instead of just console logging out this expression. We run this. You can see yes, we are logging out my
That's
name.
smart.
Good stuff. Let's move on to the final part of the challenge. I'm going to comment this out, and then I'm going to do local storage dot clear. Now, if I run the code, apparently nothing has happened. But if we now comment these two lines again and run it, oh, null. So my name no longer exists. Well, that's great because that's exactly what we try to do by clearing out local storage here on line 11. So as far as I can see, local storage really seems to do the job. Let's move on and learn how to use this properly with our myLeads array so that it's implemented into our app. It gives us that ever so important persistence feature for our leads.
Okay. So I can see why it's so powerful. You can store this. Hey. You can store this with a variable like he said, and then we reassign it, and then we call it. It's actually pretty smart. Pretty smart.
Now, there is one issue with storing our leads in local storage as an array. And that's something we'd be aware about if we, for example, were to head over to Mozilla Developer Docs to read a little bit about local storage. Here you can see the window.localstorage page. The reason it says window here is because local storage actually exists on this window object. But you can also use the local storage variable directly. And when writing code in general, I would say that less is more. So that if I can write less code, I will do that.
Less is more. less is more, guys. Less is more. It's philosophy.
That's why I'm omitting the window dot syntax. Anyway, here we can read that the local storage read-only property of the window interface allows you to access a storage object for the document's origin. Oh my god, that's just really complicated in my view, especially for a beginner. Let's scroll a bit down and read about what it actually does down in the description. The keys and the values stored with local storage are always in the UTF-16 downstring format. What the hell does that mean? I mean, UTF-16 downstring? That is some hardcore stuff. But we are not going to worry about all that. The only thing that matters is string. We at least know what that is. And as you can see here, as with objects, are automatically converted to strings. Okay, so it seems like actually everything that is stored inside of local storage has to be strings. Well, that's a problem because we were expecting to store this array here. So how do we do this? Well, to get someone to explain this to us in an easier way, I would just Google out our problem, store array in local storage, and look for the first Stack Overflow question. How do I store an array in local storage? Okay, that's our problem as well. And instead of fine reading the question, I just jump to the answer immediately because I'm impatient. And there you can see a very straightforward explanation. Local storage only supports strings. Use Json.Stringify and Json.Parse.
Stringify. So I have to manipulate. I have to do Json Stringify. That's such an awkward name. Json.parse.
Okay, here we can see some code, and we recognize this local storage dot set item, and then passing in the key. And then instead of just passing in the value, which here should be the names array, they are doing Json.Stringify and passing in the names array in that. So
That
it seems like
sounds
this
really awkward.
Json.Stringify takes the array and turns it into a string. And likewise, on the other side, when they are to fetch data from local storage, they use local storage.getItemNames, then wrapping that entire expression into Json.parse. So that seems to go the other way around, from string to array. Okay, so actually, let's just try this. Let's pretend that this is
What is he talking about? I don't remember.
Lead here, and as we read in local storage, everything is strings, so we have to turn this into a string, and we can use that with the backticks, like that. Now, this is a string, and the problem here would be that, let's say that we fetch this from local storage, and we want to push another lead to the array. We try to do that with myleads.push epiclead.com.
Epiclead.com.
From this, we get an error. myleads.push is not a function. That is because the push method doesn't exist on strings. It only exists as a method you can use on arrays. So what we then have to do first, here we've gotten the data from local storage. Now we need to do what our friend over at Stack
Push, pop, shift and unshift only works on an array or list. Yeah, basically.
Overflow did was to parse the entire thing.
Parse the entire
we
thing.
can do myleads equals Json.parse and pass in my leads here. Now, after push, log out my leads. Run it? Yes, now we can see. Now it worked. How about if we wanted to go the other way around? This here, where we're actually stringifying the array so that we can save it in local.
So stringify basically turn everything into string, and then parse is basically changing from string to whatever it's supposed to be, right?
Run this.
Let me go on here and call Json Stringify. I have to know this, or it's going to be a hassle. Continue on. It's going to be a hassle. Big hassle. Use JavaScript function Json Stringify to convert it into strings. So here, yeah, my JSON, pass it into a variable called my JSON. Yeah, stringify basically turn anything into a string, and then we do, what is it called? Parse. Json parse. Json parse method parse JSON strings, construct the JSON JavaScript value described by string, an optimal reviver. What the hell? So we JSON parse JSON's console log object count. What? Hey, I'm clueless. So here, this is an object, and then this is make it into a string. Parse JSON object is equal to JSON parse JSON. All right, console log object dot count. So count is this value, this key, and it's print out the values result. It makes sense. It makes a little bit of sense, but let's keep moving on.
Error. MyLeads.push is not a function. That is because the push method doesn't exist on strings. It only exists as a method you can use on arrays. What we then have to do first, here we've gotten the data from local storage. Now we need to do what our friend over at Stack Overflow did, was to parse the entire thing. So we can do myLeads equals JSON.parse and pass in my leads here. Now after push, log out my leads. Got it? Yes, now we can see. Now it worked. How about if we wanted to go the other way around? This here, where we're actually stringifying the array so that we can save it in local storage. Well,
so stringify to save stuff, and parse is to upload stuff.
This will be this situation here. We do myLeads equals JSON.stringify, then passing in myLeads. Now run this code. In the console, it kind of looks like an array, so maybe not the best example, but what we can do here is we can do type of for myLeads. Then we'll ask JavaScript to tell us which type is this variable here. We run this, you can see we get string. So by using the so-called JSON methods, that is the stringify and the parse, and passing in our data, we can flip back and forth between strings and arrays. And also, obviously, if we use a JSON object like this with the curly brackets, it would turn it into a JavaScript object and the other way around. And that's actually a more common use case. But in our case, we have some object like the stringify and the parse, and passing in our data, we can flip back and forth between strings and arrays. And also, obviously, if we use a JSON object like this with the curly brackets, it would turn it into a JavaScript object and the other way around. And that's actually a more common use case. In our case, we have an array to work with, and it does the job perfectly well for arrays as well. Okay, now it's your turn to practice. I'm going to turn this back into a string and give you a set of instructions. Okay, you are going to do these 4 steps. First, turn the myLeads string into an array. Then push a new value to that array. Then turn the array into a string again. And finally, console log the string using the typeof that you just learned to verify that it's actually a string. So go ahead and give this a shot right now.
Turn myLeads string into an array, right? So myLeads is equal to local storage dot stringify Right, JSON parse. Da la da 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 da. Turn string into array. JSON local storage. Local storage. Yeah, my voice is deep. String back to array from local storage. Make array. Json that's stringified. Not so good. Json dot stringify. String into an array dot parse. My lead Cyrus console log. My lead. Okay. Push a new value into an array. My lead dot push. Open this. Call this www.google.com, and then now I want to console log the my leads. Right, we are on some good progress. Turn the array into string again. So my lead now is equal to JSON dot stringify my lead. Yes, and then console log the string using type of to verify it is a string. Console log log my lead, and then we do type up run string. We are good. I repeat, we are good. We are fine. A little bit clueless, but at least we can finish some instruction.
Well, let's do this. First, we'll do my leads equals JSON parse, passing in my leads. That should turn it into a proper array again. Now that we have it as an array, we can do my leads.push.com. Okay, we have to turn it into.
Yes, let's move on. Save the leads to local storage.
Now you are going to implement the first part of our local storage feature, and that consists of saving the my leads array through local storage. So that should happen here on line 11, right after you've pushed the new lead to the my leads array and cleared out the input field. Then we are ready to actually save to local storage. And you have to remember to use the json.stringify when saving it, even though the browser we're using might be kind to us and actually do this for us if it notices we haven't done it. We want to be explicit about this so that we remind ourselves that we know the difference between working with just plain text or a proper JavaScript array. So remember to do that, and once you've written your solution, you should run the code by filling out the input field and hitting the Save Input button, because this line at the bottom of the function will also be run, and it heads into local storage and gets the item that is called my leads. So if your implementation has worked, this console log should log out whatever you've saved to local storage as well, because my leads is actually want to use in order to save our array. So use this as
Wow.
So go ahead and do this, and I will of course show you the solution when you return back to this cast.
Right. We need to get like everything together first. So first of all, input button is basically listen for click, and then we do a function myLead.push. We push a value into myLead, which is input value, and then input value, input L, which is the element, input value, the value is equal to nothing after we input it. So yeah, so when we input something, right, it will delete the stuff that exists on this. And then we render lead, we call this function render lead. Yeah, we put the second function, let list item equal nothing for let for, and then we loop through all of it. We loop through myLead.length, and then list item is equal to, it's going to be a link, a clickable link, and then ul.inner HTML just to display the list item, into the ul element, which is the list, unordered list element. Right, so save the list at the myLead array to the local storage. myLead array to local storage. myLead array myLead is equal to myLead equal to Json .stringify for this myLead, and then we do local storage dot set item. How do we save? Save the myLead array to the local storage. Are there any save? No. Remember Json .stringify. Verify that it works. Oh, local storage dot set items. It's going to be a key and a value. A key and a value. A key and a value. Did I overcomplicated it? We don't need to set item. Save an array. Save an array to local storage. set item name. Set local storage dot set item. Key and a string, key and a string, key and a string. Key and a string, key and a string, key and a string. So what is the key is going to be? What is the key is going to be? Key and a string, key and a string. We have a string here, my lead. Oh yeah, key is going to be this, and then my lead. Stringify, open names. Yeah, we just put this here, put it in here, and then we do, oh, it's just commas. Yeah, we can do that. It's faster. And then what do we do here? What do we put here? What do we put here? So we have the lead, the my lead. Just here. What do we call here? Call this. What do we call here? Input value.l. Let's try that. It cannot be called as input. Console log my leads. Doesn't work. Let's watch this.
First, we need to specify what key you want to save our item under, and that is, as I said here, my leads.
Oh. No shit. And then we do google.com. Yes, it's safe as google.com. Yes, I'm learning. It's a learning session.
Right. Then comma. Then what we actually
You guys can come join and then study with me. It's some hard. It's pretty hard.
you want to say. Now you
Pretty intense stuff.
Do my leads like that, grabbing the variable called my leads. But as I said, we need to use Json Stringify to turn this into a text string. So we'll do JSON.string have it. My lead, in order to save our save input lead, which is exactly what we wanted.
Yes. So basically, this is what I did. So when you get item, it's just key. All right. I see. It is really, really, really.
Let's move on.
Right, let's go and move on. I will do last one, and then I'm so tired right now.
So now we are able to set items in local storage, aka we are saving leads to local storage. Awesome lead and epic lead, and then see that yes, they are indeed logged out because we have fetched the item from local storage here. And actually, you can even open up the developer tools here on Scrimba and click down to w0.scrimba.com, and there you will see my leads as the key and the values as well.
Really?
And the reason it's
Inspect. What is it? Memory? Console? Source? Application? Local storage? Scrimbers? Where do I see it? Scrimba.com. Oh! Okay. 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 Not too shabby.
w0.scrimba.com, because that's actually the domain for this mini browser under the hood. However, that's Scrimba magic. Don't worry about that right now. Just know that you can access it by choosing that domain. Now, there's one big problem here though, which is that if we now refresh this again, our leads are gone. Or actually, they're not gone, they still exist down in local storage. However, I haven't written the code for heading into local storage, fetching out the leads, and then displaying them when we are refreshing the entire page. We're actually not doing anything. We're setting the my leads array to an empty array, and we're not even triggering the render leads. So there's multiple things we need to fix up here. But we're going to start small as usual. We're going to basically just try to get the lead from local storage. Then store that in a variable, which I would call lead from local storage, then log out this variable. Now I'm going to close the console, and before you go, I want to remind you about the json.parse method that you learned earlier, because you want to use that to parse the string get from local storage so that you turn it back into an array. This might be a little bit difficult, but just give it your best shot, and then I will show you how to do it as well. Okay, hopefully.
Get lead from local storage. Get leads from local storage. So what I have to do is local storage. We will rewatch the video again because I didn't focus on this, but get leads from, so get item. This item has a key, my lead, isn't it? Yeah, it's my lead. My lead Cyrus, right? And then my lead, we get the lead from the local storage, and then we do equal. How do I get lead? Get item? Yeah. Json.parse. Json.parse my lead. I have to do that. Json.parse open my lead. Do I have to do that? Stored in a variable lead from local storage. Copy Let's lead from local storage. Local storage dot get item JSON parse my lead. So you want it to be in a like a parse is basically get the same format, right? Format that you want, not the format that you want, but Stringify turn this stuff into string, and parse basically convert it from string to stuff that you want. Store it in a variable and lock out the variable. Console log. Console log, let's say leads from local storage. Unexpected tokens. My lead is not valid JSON. Thank God I'm country boy. PS json.parse. Thank God. Define the type of JSON. What did you mean by define the type of JSON? Type of JSON. Type of JSON. Let me see what is type of JSON, because I'm a complete beginner. So you will have to elaborate on that. Oh, data type. So basically data type. It's an array, string, or integer, right? So do you think I'm right here? I'm pretty sure I'm right? Let's see. JSON.parse JavaScript. Parse. Thank God I'm country boy. Woo. I'm pretty sure I have to do json.parse somewhere in here. Somewhere in here. Somewhere in here. My leads. Da, 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 da. I was right. It was here. JSON.parse. Get item. So get item only has to be get item. My lead. Getting warmest. Yeah, it is. This start to get a little bit harder, especially in this room. Is the stuff getting harder and harder.
That went well. Then passing in my leads. However, we need to parse this. So I'll do JSON.
Oh my God! So I have to wrap it in a JSON parse. Oh my God! I'm stupid. JSON parse local storage. Oh my god, yeah, because this is going to give you a list. No, not a list, a string, because you get it from the locals storage. So it gives you a string, and then you basically JSON parse it. So it's going to be an array, right? So yeah, let's redo this, and we do JSON parse. We pass in this into local storage dot get item, open my leads Cyrus, and then we do, and then everything is equal to this. Well, now the question is, oh, it's probably a const as well, equal to this, and then this, and then run. Yeah, because as you can see, the stuff that I did earlier, you have a quotation mark right here and right here as well. So it's just a string with like a bracket. Is basically copy everything, but it's a string, so it's not the right type of data that we want. All right, makes sense.
Then parentheses around this inner expression right here, and then store this in a variable from local storage. Follow me, and as you learn in the next lesson topic here, array with the leads that we know that we had here in our local storage. If I now do,
see, I need a little bit of hint. I cannot just like think of like something and then like do it on my own, because sometimes I overcomplicate stuff. Sometimes I just get things messed up, but I know like how they supposed to work. It is just I need some hints because my brain is stupid. I'm stupid. All right, let's keep going.
Here, right above this line, and run it, we get null. And now you're probably wondering, well, what the hell does null mean? And as you learn in the next lesson, null is a so-called falsy value we developers use to signalize emptiness. And here, developers behind null.
We have Stack Overflow and Google AdSense. Yeah, exactly. Stack Overflow and Google are my girlfriends. I like to search things on them. Yeah, mamma mia. Even being web dev for about, oh, wow, really? That's nice. You have been a web dev for about 5 years. That's amazing. I heard it's really nice to be a web dev. That's why I'm studying a lot of this. I did some web dev in college, and then for some reason I lose interest in web dev because I hate the way how school actually teach you. Maybe because of the course I signed up to, but like I hate the way how school. But I try React framework, but I just go back to PHP, not a fancy programming. What is the difference between PHP and React? I heard PHP, now people use PHP, React. React is like the most popular one. And then Django. I like before this course I studied some Django stuff, but then I was like, how do we apply this in like a real world situation? Because whenever I search for Django on Google or YouTube, it's always say, oh, it's a web framework. I don't know what is a web framework is. Like Django is based on Python. Yes, exactly. I learned Python before JavaScript. So it's kind of like usually people just learn JavaScript and then learn Python. I'm more like the backward guys. But what does a framework actually do? Like, is it like a bones for like all your CSS, HTML, and like JavaScript? I've heard people like love React.js, and I feel like there's a lot of application that they use React. It's like if you have tasks, they are repeating, like building logs in form. A framework can help you with. Oh, so it's like a. How can I say it? It's like a. It's like those like website builders, where they have like, oh, a box is going to be this, and then you plug it in, plug it in, plug it in. So framework is basically like that. It's like a big, chunky library, and like a tiny library, which is like the form, stuff like that, form and like the sign in and stuff like that. Model view controllers. Model view controllers. I have never heard of it. Let me search it. Google. Let me Google my girlfriend for a little bit. Google. Not lazy. Not this. Model view controllers. It's a. What is this? Model update view see users use controllers manipulate date. So like user use the controllers and manipulate. Update views the user see the database to routes to front end. We learn new things every day. This is the first time that I've heard of this. Model view controllers. Database to a routers to a front end. So yeah, I see. Isn't this some sort of a MVC? What is this? My tiny lead trackers, isn't it? Yeah, view is the front end, controller are doing this function. Oh, so view is HTML, CSS, controllers is JavaScript, and database basically Python, SQL, stuff like that. Oh, this actually makes sense now. This actually makes sense. This makes sense. Make a lot of sense. And then we have on top of that, on top of everything like that, we have React.js. which is like the framework. Exact, and they are connecting to each other so that you call the function to the front end. It's all separate in different files, but is cleaner. Yeah, but React works different. There you have components. I see. So it's like a React is like a libraries for plugins, so you can plug it stuff into the what's it called? Your documents, basically. Everything in JS is a component, basically. Okay, I see. Wow. Amazing. I didn't notice, like, because whenever I search web framework, it give me some alienized language. So I don't really understand what a web framework is until now. It's actually now I kind of see why people love React.js. It's like a library in library. You can plug in stuff and then it automatically works for you. Makes sense. But why is it so popular? Is it like actually better than PHP or like Django or like stuff like that in a web framework? Or is it just popular because Meta created it? I'm a kingdom. It's a software architecture commonly used for developing user interface that define. Makes sense. Alright, we will continue watching video and let's see how far can we go from here. Chrome extension, oh my god, I have like 20, more like 18 class.
Storage, that is, the people over at Google who have implemented local storage into Chrome have made it so that it returns null when we ask for a key that doesn't exist. And actually, this is the case for all browsers because they have followed the same specification. However, this means that we'll end up in a situation where this variable leaves from local storage either null, as I said, is a fuzzy value, or it is an array, which is a so-called truthy value. So we're in a situation where we have to act either as the case for all browsers because they have followed the same specification. However, this means that we'll end up in a situation where this variable leaves from local storage either null, as I said, is a value, or it is an array, which is a so-called true value. So
Truthy value,
where we have to act upon a variable that is either true or false, not the same as true or false. Meaning we have to dig into what exactly true and false means. That next lesson.
Wow. I will have to rewatch this because I didn't understand a single word on this. Hey, truthy and 4C.
So now we are able to set items in local storage, aka we are saving leads to local storage.
Hey.
So awesome lead and epic lead, and then see that yes, they are indeed logged out because we have fetched the item from local storage here. And actually, you can even open up the developer tools here on Scrimba and click down to w0.scrimba.com, and there you will see my leads as the key and the values as well. And the reason it's w0.scrimba.com is because that's actually the domain for this mini browser under the hood. However, that's Scrimba magic. Don't worry about that right now. Just know that you can access it by choosing that domain. Now, there's one big problem here though, which is that if we now refresh this page again, boom, our leads are gone. Or actually, they're not gone, they still exist down in local storage. However, we haven't written the code for heading into local storage, fetching out the leads, and then displaying them when we are refreshing the entire page. We're actually not doing anything, we're just setting the my leads array to empty array, and we're not even triggering the render leads. So there's multiple things we need to fix up here, but we're going to start small as usual. You are going to basically just try to get the leads from local storage, and then store that in a variable, which I would call lead from local storage, then log out this variable.
All right, I see. So it's saved into the local storage, but it's not display onto the console log on the thingy.
Now I'm going to script this here in our local storage. What the hell does load the developer variable? We're in a situation where we have to.
All right, I think that's it for today. Wow, a long day. This is like the most intense session that I had with like this course on Scrimba. This is passenger counters, pretty easy, piss easy. This is like the blackjack game. No, this is a blackjack game. This is basketball counter, piss easy, extremely easy. Beginner stuff. And then blackjack game. This is a little bit harder, but still manageable. This is, I would say, intermediate to like intermediate, beginners to intermediate. Pretty easy. It's getting harder, but pretty easy. This is the password generators. This confusing, but not extremely hard. This one, holy moly! We deployed it onto the Google application. We do get. We work with local storage. We work with like inner HTML, a bunch of it, a bunch of stuff that we learned. Hopefully, I can still remember it in here. And then we learn we display value. Yeah, a lot of things that we have learned. So yeah.
Act upon a variable that is either true or false. Not the same as true or false. Meaning we have to dig into what exactly true and false means, and we'll do that in the next lesson.
Next lesson. Okay, we are finished for today. All right. So yes, for tomorrow, what should we do? I will start streaming at around 9 p.m. 9 to 12. Probably we do a session like that, 3 hours, and then 1 till 4. Another 3 hours, so we got 6 hours. And then we do a night session at around 8 to 9 to 11, so we got 8 hours. Pretty intense, but I want to learn this stuff as fast as possible, and I want to remember as much as possible, so I go at my own pace. Sometimes it's going to be might be a little bit too fast for you guys, sometimes it's too slow, but it is my pace, so I would go with my pace. Yes, so all right. By the way, hey, Christophers, let me add Christophers. First, subscribe. He is extremely helpful, so I'm going to subscribe to this. I'm going to subscribe to Christopher. Yes. And then we are done for today, guys. Yeah. Hope you have a great evening.